It's Listen In with KNN, the sports sound of the district. Today, we welcome one of the top journalists in the sports media industry. He covered the New England Patriots and the NFL from 2001 to 2004 as a reporter for the Boston Globe. He then joined ESPN in 2004 as a senior writer for ESPN.com and an NFL insider for SportsCenter and NFL Live. He would then spend the next 11 years contributing to many of the network's TV and radio platforms. Last month, he was hired to work as a news analyst for the NFL's Thursday Night Football coverage on Amazon Prime Video. It's Michael Smith, and he joins this live stream of Listen In with KNN right now. Here's your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson. It's Listen In with KNN, the sports sound of the district. We bring you the biggest guests, great analysis, and the hottest sports stories in the nation's capital and beyond. And we bring it to you live. Welcome to this live stream broadcast of Listen In with KNN. Here's your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson.
All right. Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday and welcome into this live stream edition of Listen In with KNN, presented by Fox Sports 1340 AM, 96.9 FM with me, your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson. So excited and delighted to have you all join us. What better way than to start football week with my very special guest? The regular season is finally here. I've been seeing the countdowns. We're all waiting for Thursday. My special guest today is going to have something very special to do with Thursdays. We're going to be talking about all that and more on today's show. So without further ado, please help me welcome none other than Michael Smith, Amazon Prime video analyst for Thursday Night Football and co-host of Brother from Another on Peacock. Hope you guys are watching that show. And of course, we'll all be watching on Thursday nights now. For Michael, once again, very excited to have him his first time on the show. And I know you guys have been waiting for it. So let's bring him on. Michael, how are you? Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. Thank you for getting me to wobbling. I don't even know how to wobble. I'm embarrassed to say I don't know how to
wobble.
Yes,
you do. I saw you, and you were doing it good, Michael. Don't say that.
I'm seated. I could chair dance very well, but like when the wobble come on, I like to watch everybody rush the dance floor. I tend to kind of just enjoy. I don't know how to quite do it myself, but no, it's really a pleasure to be
more
here.
Then, right? That's what you're saying. We got to get you to DC more.
Listen, I live in Connecticut, and if there's one place I would move to, it would be DC. Kelsey, thank you for having me. I appreciate you. Again, thank you for the warm introduction. Thanks for the love. But no, you're doing it. I'm happy for you. You're doing your thing. You're making it happen. It's good to be with you.
That means so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And again, y'all, I saw Michael dancing backstage. He can dance. Add that to the resume. There is nothing.
No. See that we already got you telling a tall tale, like 2 minutes into the show. Because anybody knows me or anything about me knows that I do nothing worse than dance.
Dancing?
I am terrible at dancing.
You can't say that because something I found out, we both have New Orleans roots. Everyone from New Orleans has got to know how to dance because music isn't
That's
our
not
true.
Michael. Okay, do you know how to cook?
I do know how to cook, but the question is,
I don't know how to cook. I don't know how to cook. So I'm from New Orleans, can't dance and can't cook. So my New Orleans card might as well be revoked. You know what
So
I'm
we got to
saying?
start it over, basically. We got to get you back to New Orleans, get you in the kitchen, and then
Yeah.
we're going to get you on the dance floor.
But you said something interesting though. You said you don't like to cook. Did I hear you
Yes,
say
because
that?
I'm busy. Like, so I can cook, but like, I'm just not somebody that's going to be slaving away in the kitchen all day, Michael. I'm just going to be
So
honest.
I don't know if I don't know how to cook because I don't like to cook, or I don't
Mm,
like to cook because I don't know how to cook.
there
Either
you go.
way,
It could
that's
be
not
that.
my anointing. That's
It
not
could
my
be
anointing.
that.
You know?
It was not given to us. It was, look,
No,
Antoine is saying you're 0 for 2, Mike. All right, we're going to try to make
I'm
sure
open too.
that he's 0 for 3. But again, delighted to have you. We're going to talk about New Orleans, but I want to ask first, how was your Labor Day weekend with your family? What'd you do?
Oh, thank you for asking. It was good. It was real chill. You know, I probably relaxed as much this weekend and really this summer as I have in years.
Yeah.
I'm just in a good place in a lot of ways, on a lot of levels. A lot going on with my family, which has been good. I got 2 kids in high school now.
Exciting.
So a lot of this weekend was spent kind of just being in chill mode before the chaos really starts. So 16, 14, and 10, the
Wow.
kids, you know, as you pointed out, you know, I just added a job. That's why I need all these jobs, man. I got to pay for these schools.
You're thinking about college in the future. You're thinking about that tuition bill, right?
The future, private school right now, man. Like school's
We're trying to
expensive
get by day
now.
by day.
You know what I mean? But no, and then you know, my wife just started a new gig. She's doing her thing.
Exciting.
So
Congrats to her.
yeah, thank you,
This
thank you.
family is
So
winning, basically, is what I'm hearing. Just wins
no,
all.
yeah, no. Listen, we're blessed. We're good. We're in really good shape,
Love that.
and I'm happy. So yeah, it was really just a lot of chill, a lot of relaxing. You know, we had a
Yeah.
couple of friends over on Sunday, and then yesterday I had 2 fantasy drafts. That's I was like, what did I do yesterday? I had 2 fantasy drafts last night.
Okay,
You know,
good.
yeah, yeah. So
I'm staying away from
that was
fantasy this
big.
year. My emotions, I'm staying away from fantasy, but glad that you are
You're
involved in
smart.
it.
No, you're smart. I got away from it, but it's just like it's the Godfather meets Too Short. Like I
I
can't
get
stay
it.
away, and they keep pulling me back in. And you know, I was away from it for a few years, and now I'm back. So now I'm back. I got 3 leagues, and
Jeez.
I had a draft, 2 on Sunday and 1 last night.
Oh my gosh. So
Yeah,
the new job, Peacock,
yeah,
your company, being a dad, and then you're also doing fantasy. So basically, Michael
yeah.
Smith is going to be very hard to connect with this
That's why I
entire
don't cook.
season.
I don't have time to cook. I'm like you, Kelsey. I don't have time to cook.
We're busy.
Yeah,
We're busy
yeah,
folks. You know, the Uber
yeah,
Eats has been my best friend. So, you know, you do
yeah.
what you got to do. But I love hearing
Exactly.
that. Congrats on again on all the success with your
Thank you so
family. The
much.
kids, they started school, right? They like it.
Uh,
They're liking school so far.
my youngest started 5th grade last week, and my older 2 are kind of going through like some of the preliminary stuff. You know, just like the welcoming and all the meet and greet, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's been the last couple of days. So they start in full effect next week.
Jeez. All right. So you're gearing
Yeah.
up for that. And again, let's talk about this new gig, Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Thursday Night Football. So, you know, we're not only watching Amazon Prime videos. Now, football fans, we get to watch folks like Michael starting next week. So I know like it's the calm now, right before the storm, September 15th.
Yeah.
Make sure y'all put that on your calendars. You, Carissa Thompson, Tony Gonzalez, Ryan Fitzpatrick,
Yep.
Sherman.
Richard
First off,
Sherman,
it's exciting.
Andrew Whitworth, Taylor
Everybody.
Rooks, everybody and their mama. Yeah.
I love this. So when you first found out about this opportunity, what was your reaction, Michael?
Yeah, you know, I've been pursuing it for a while. Once Amazon got the rights to Thursday Night Football, and I knew that they were going to be assembling their roster for the shoulder programming, as in pregame, halftime, postgame show. I was like, I threw my hat in the ring. I mean, first I wanted the color analyst job. I'm like, look, I played backup quarterback in high school. Like, if they're giving out $15 million for color analysts,
look,
I'm like, look, I'll do it for 5. I'll cut you a deal and do it for 5. You know what I mean? But once that didn't work out, once it was with old Kirk Street, I'm like, all right, well, what about this shoulder programming thing? And yeah, I just wanted to be, at this point in my life and my career, I care less about where I sit at the table and more about bringing what it is that I bring to the table.
That's huge.
And so I just really want to be a part of this team. Also, there are some people behind the scenes that I have history with. Marie Donahue, Amina Hussein, to just name drop a couple of the executives there. I worked with for many years at ESPN. And so I knew that both behind the camera and on camera, they were putting together a special team.
Right.
They were assembling the Avengers. And I'm like, you know what? I want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
And whatever form that takes, I'm game. My career has been one of reinvention and versatility. And so I felt like I could kind of fit in wherever, whatever they wanted me to do. If they wanted me to host it, I could host it. If they wanted me to be an analyst, I could be an analyst. If they wanted me to do interviews, I could do interviews. And so I was like, just put me on the field.
Yeah.
And, after some conversations, it felt like the right fit from both sides. And we were finally able to make it official at the end of the month. And the response and the reception has been really, really touching, both from within the NFL community, my loved ones, my friends, people who follow my career, people who support me. It's been extremely positive, and I could not be more grateful for the opportunity. And I don't just mean that like as a throwaway line, as like a company line. Like, nah, man, I mean, like, Kelsey, I'm like legit just thankful. I'm grateful to be able to be a part of something different, something new. There hasn't been a new broadcast partner with the NFL since like 1994.
A long time.
Yeah. You weren't even born. You know what I mean? So it's like
lots of babies have been born in that time since we last had a new broadcast partner.
Like your lifetime, they have been a new broadcast partner. But I mean, it's the NFL. I mean, and for all the problems that the NFL has, it's still like a foolproof product. You know what I mean? And so just to be a part of NFL coverage was fun. It's where I started my career.
Yeah.
So it's kind of in my blood, if you will. It's what I've always enjoyed the most, is just kind of being close to the game, being boots on the ground. We're going to be on the road every Thursday.
Exciting.
So it's like a traveling circus. Yeah. So we're at Kansas City for Chargers at Chiefs next Thursday the 15th. Exclusively on Prime Video. It's a streamer. It's the future. No, it's not even the future. It's the present. You know
it is.
I mean? So,
I'm about to drop my cable now, Michael, and get that Fire Stick.
You know what I'm saying? I got you on it. I got the plug on that.
There we go. Thank you.
So yeah, no, I mean, I'm super, super grateful. And lastly, I'll say it complements everything else I'm doing.
Right.
It's not something that, I'm at a certain place where I kind of know what I want my days and weeks and months to look like. And it fits in nicely with my my larger aspirations.
With what you want to do. You touched on so many great things. You said this is something that you've pursued for a while, folks. This is why you can't give up on the dream. You're living, breathing proof of that. And then also you showed how life comes full circle. Started covering football, and then here you are now. And you talked about always having to reinvent yourself, right? It's a what have you done lately? Don't worry, look, this is a live show, Michael. Bring the dog.
This is Stokely Carmichael.
We get to meet him. Is he going to be on the broadcast? You got to have to bring him on the broadcast too.
Come here, buddy.
People love dogs.
Come on, buddy.
This is why I love live shows.
You being shy? Come on.
This is what you
buddy.
get.
Well, I'll move the camera.
All right, there we go. Like he wants to be. Oh, look at him! Now he wants to be shy. When he
that's Stokely Carmichael right there. You want me to let you out? Hold on, let me let him out real quick.
No problem, guys. This is why I love live.
Dog's coming out.
Michael Smith and his element. This is what's so exciting. Once again, talking about his new gig with Amazon Prime. No, you're good, Michael. I'm making sure that people know you don't only need to use Amazon to order packages. Make sure you're now watching Prime Video on Thursdays again for Thursday Night Football. Michael, I think this is really exciting because sometimes everyone like, oh, it's Thursday Night Football. I know there's been conversations. Sometimes it's not as exciting. So when you think about you and your uniqueness and all your skills that you've gained from broadcasting, what's kind of the thing you're hoping to bring to this broadcast as a news analyst?
I appreciate the question. Energy. I feel like, if I may, I would say the skill or the attribute that I possess, that's probably my I guess defining attribute is probably my passion and my energy. And my enthusiasm. I wouldn't profess to be the most knowledgeable. I'm not a walking encyclopedia.
Right.
I don't have the most expansive vocabulary.
Yeah.
I might be the best looking. No, I'm just joking. No, I mean, but there are better looking people on camera. There are people who articulate better. But I feel like I feel like my hustle, my grind, and my passion for what I do is something that people can connect with and relate to. They know that I'm enjoying what it is that I'm doing. And so
That's huge.
all I want to bring is just my love of the game and my
Yeah.
love of storytelling to the broadcast. We're very much a work in progress, and that
Right.
trickles all the way down to how the show is going to feel, how it's going to look, how it's going to be executed. Um, but it's going back to just being in a good place. I'm at a place right now where it's just like I'm not even like tripping about exactly what it is I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's more about who I'm doing it with, um, and how I approach it. So
Right.
whether I'm a news analyst, whether I'm analyzing, the game itself, whether I'm analyzing stories around the league, whether I'm hosting, whether I'm reporting, interviewing, whatever it is, like I'm going to bring me and my energy to the table. You know what
And
I
that's
mean?
huge. Yeah.
That's
You're
it.
bringing
That's it.
your full self and your full authentic self
That's
to the
it.
table. So it sounds like,
That's
Michael,
it.
you obviously know who you are. And I think
I
sometimes,
do.
people can spend a lifetime searching for themselves, but you're comfortable being in your own skin. And like you said, you're just going to be you. People will love it
Yep.
or hate it, whatever, but you're going to be you.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you found peace. And I think that's what people search for also in life, right? That peace when you are just happy with yourself and happy with what you're doing.
Yeah. And I mean that's been elusive, to be honest with you. I mean, it hasn't always been that way. I think age will do that. Look, I mean, I'm like Tom Brady. I'm 43 years old. I got a lot of shit going on. You
Look,
know what I
all of
mean?
us. That
Like,
winds down too, Michael. Me too.
I mean, so I think a lot of it is age, is maturity, is
Yeah.
wisdom. Um, I think it's also just having experienced some things,
Yeah.
highs and lows, and
Mm.
and being able to live to tell about it. And I feel like I always had a pretty good perspective for the most part. I was always comfortable in my own skin.
Right.
Um, but that's been tested. I mean, I'd be lying to you if I didn't say that resolve hasn't been tested.
Hmm.
That perseverance, that belief hasn't been tested at times. But I think part of it is, the faith walk is kind of like, it's interesting. Like it's easy. It's much easier in hindsight than it is in the moment.
Oh,
You
for sure.
know, it's,
For
so
sure.
when you in it and you're saying, well, everything happens for a reason, and I just want God to use me, and I'm trusting in God's will. Like you say all that, but like there's also this real loud voice in the back of your head being
Right.
like, bruh, what's going on? What is happening? Where is this going? Like, what are we doing? Like, where, like, really? Is this it? Is this what it's gonna be? And then
Right.
when you get on the other side, you're like, oh man, you're like, okay, that's why. That was the
Hmm.
why. And so I guess I'm just at this place right now where I'm just like, okay, if all of that was to get me here, then
Yeah.
it's just, again, it just goes, God's ways are not our ways. His thoughts are not our
Facts.
thoughts. You know what I mean? It's
Facts.
just like, so it's just kind of like, okay. Um, so I really do feel like my journey and my career and my life is very much a testimony. So I feel like I need to share that as much as possible because, like,
Yeah.
my career has not, and my life has not been without its challenges, but I can say that they've all made me better and made me
Mm.
stronger and brought me to a place of happiness and contentment, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't I wouldn't change. Are there things that I could have done better? Sure, but all of my challenges, I definitely count them all joy. And listen, truth of the matter is, it hasn't been as hard as it's been for other people, but we all have
Right.
our individual struggles or what have you.
Of course. Yeah.
Um, and so, like if we'd have had this conversation, Kelsey, a year ago,
Mm.
I or even 6 months ago, I
Right.
don't I don't know how I would have come off. I don't
Mm.
know if I would have um I don't know if I would have had this type of perspective.
Right.
I think I might have tried. I think I might have tried to have this outlook. But yeah.
I think that's huge because it's like you're living in this time, and what you say is so true, Michael. When I say you're preaching to people and you're talking to the folks in the back, there's so many people. We go through these trials and tribulations in life, and in the moment, you'll say, "All right, it wasn't meant for me. It's God's plan." But then also, as you're saying, you kind of doubt yourself though. But why not me? Why did it not happen for me?
Yeah.
A lot of times, as you said, in retrospect, you can look back and see that. But it's hard. And that's, I think, what you said is so important, because I think sometimes, because social media and people think as you're on TV that life is just all flowers and roses, and it's not. Like, everybody goes through things, and I think it also shows. We have people in the comments talking about this doesn't matter your age. This happens to everyone, folks. So this is life, right? You're trying to find that pursuit of happiness, and it sounds like, Michael, you sounds like you need to write a book. I'm like, you got a lot of good life lessons. I'm like, are we hinting at a book?
I have never once considered writing a book, at least writing a book about me. I don't know. I never want to say never. But
I know I'm adding to your busy plate.
No, I definitely got some stuff to say. That's for sure. No, it's just I think I was things happened for me so fast out of the gate. Like I lived a charmed life.
Right.
I mean, I was at the ball. I graduated from college in May of 2001, and in February of 2002, I was back in New Orleans covering the Super Bowl for the Boston Globe.
Amazing.
I was covering a dynasty at the beginning. I'm at ESPN and I'm on national television at 25, and I had my own show in my 30s. It's like I was just on this path.
Yeah.
And is it Stephanie Mills? Experience is a good teacher. It takes some, or that's not Stephanie Mills. Who's saying I'm in love under new management? Is that Mickey Howard? This is too old for you. I'm sorry.
I'm trying to give you some brain cells, like I'm thinking.
I'm pretty sure it's Mickey Howard. I'm in love under new management. That song starts with different context. It starts with experience is a good teacher. It takes someone like me to know. Somebody in your audience could tell me that. Could tell me if it's Mickey Howard.
Y'all find the answer. Come on, y'all. We live. Let's help Michael out.
I'm getting old and my memory is struggling, but I could sing it, but I don't want to ruin.
I was gonna say, Michael, go ahead. Look, we want to see all the talent.
So it's like I just look at things different. It's really, I don't want to belabor the point, but I guess I look at things different. Every time I talk to somebody younger and they express their frustrations, I'm like, I know exactly what you feel. I know exactly. I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. I thought the same thing when I was your age. Like, now I'm at OG now, and mentorship is very important to me.
Oh yeah.
And now I'm that older person that's like saying what older people were telling me back in the day. Like when I would get frustrated and I couldn't see the big picture, because how can you see the big picture? You can't see what's coming 20 years from now, so you think your situation is one thing and you're frustrated, you're not where you want to be, and you're like, oh man, when is it gonna happen, and this, that, and the other. It's like, you just don't know that you're right where you're supposed to be. So I think I just look at things 20 years later. I'm like, okay, so now I can kind of reach back a little bit and put people at ease that like, it's gonna be all right. You know what I mean? So
sometimes you just need to hear that, though, and especially coming from someone like you. Again, young people are looking up to Michael. So I can only imagine, you saying that, how that connects with them. That's why it's so important, as you said, mentorship. Folks, please, please, please reach back and give one, each one, teach one. It's needed in the community. And, Michael, hearing you talk, looking at where you are now, the young Michael Smith, growing up in New Orleans, like, would you say this is kind of beyond your wildest dreams of where you ever, dreamed that you could be?
Definitely, because I wouldn't say I was a big dreamer. I've always been very task oriented. I've always been like more of a just kind of like stack good days kind of guy. I've never been, and not that there's anything wrong with this, I appreciate the people who do it, but I've never been like a guy that wrote down goals or vision board or what have you. It's like, that's just kind of like, just not how I'm wired. I'm more like, okay, how do I have the best day today? How do I get better today, little by little? Whether that's just keep digging, keep chopping wood, whatever analogy you want to use. And so Like growing up, I did know. But what's funny? Here's what's crazy. Here's what's wild about it. Because I guess I should recognize the dream a little bit more. I guess I just never thought it would become a reality. So I grew up in, I was born in '79.
Yeah.
And so 80s, 90s. So like I was in high school in the 90s when Stuart Scott, rest in peace, was like, changing the game.
Right.
Night after night.
Yeah.
And I remember having to fill out, and for high school, having to fill out this little almost like a questionnaire about, favorite food and hobby and what you want to be when you grow up, this, that, and the other.
Right.
And I still actually have it. It's a newspaper clipping. It's a local newspaper clipping. I still have it. And it says Sports Center anchor. And this is in high school.
Wow.
No, but the reason why I was like, well, what do you mean you didn't have that dream? Well, I said that then, but I majored in print journalism when I was in college.
Right.
I was a writer coming out of school. I never wanted to be on television until that TV money started talking. I'm like, okay, well, because I never trained for TV. I did not.
Right.
I did not. The first time I ever hosted a show was NFL Live. I did not go to broadcasting school at all.
Yeah.
I just started appearing on television. And I never wanted to do sports. Once I got to ESPN, I wasn't trying to do Sports Center. I was trying to do, I was trying to be the best version of me I could be, maybe have my own show. That was the goal.
Yeah.
But ending up doing Sports Center, it just goes, it's like, talking about beyond even my wildest dreams, like I could not have authored that script, even though it was something that I had, I guess you could say, put into the atmosphere back in high school. So to answer your question, yeah, absolutely. Like, but the dream part for me, the beyond my wildest dreams part for me is not necessarily professionally, it's personally.
Right.
Because I come from a great family. I had a lot of familial support. Whether it's my mother, my father, my stepfather, uncles, aunts, cousins, grandparents, church family, community, school family, just go down the list, right? A village poured into me, right?
Especially down south, right? Like it really
is. No doubt. In that New Orleans, in pre-Katrina New Orleans. Not that New Orleans, it's not that its fabric has changed, but this is like, it was just a different dynamic back then, if you will.
Yeah.
I never dreamed that I would be a husband and a father of three. I never dreamed about children. And my first job, my priority, what it is that I identify as most, is first and foremost a husband and a father.
Right.
And so that's the part that I do pinch myself about. The professional part, like I said, it's just like, just honing my craft, being a perfectionist.
Yeah.
The personal part is the thing that I'm just like, I look at my son, I look at my daughters, I look at my wife, I'm like, damn, like this is dope,
I did that.
Watching them flourish, watching them grow. The best thing I did in a long time was I coached my son's AAU basketball team this spring and summer.
Oh, that's
and I had a ball. Let me tell you something. If I could make enough money
as an AAU coach,
and if I actually knew what I was doing, I would do that full time. I would do that full time. It was the most fun I've ever had.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Oh my gosh, I could take the whole show talking about that. But that's the type of stuff. So you ask, like, growing up in New Orleans, where I am now, wildest dreams. That's the stuff that's like completely beyond comprehension. Is that I'm somebody's daddy, three people's daddy. You know what I mean? And then I've been married for 17 years now. So,
congratulations! Like, that's amazing. That is amazing. All right,
putting up with me for 17. That is.
Mrs. Smith, we love and adore you. All right. What you said is so real. And like, I think that's, as you can't plan life, but to become a father, right? To have kids. I always love speaking, especially to Black fathers, about that, and Black fatherhood, Michael, about that. I think it's so special. And props to you for loving AAU coaching. You must have not had any other crazy parents at those games that, some of us are seeing on social media. So I'm glad to hear you.
I did not, but I am that crazy parent. So I was the crazy parent And then when they offered me the opportunity to coach, I'm like, well, what exactly do you need as far as qualifications? I'm like, do you need to have experience? Do you need to actually know what you're doing? Because I was like, I pretend like I know what I'm talking about on TV. I don't actually know what I'm. And it was like, all you need is time and commitment. I'm like, oh, I got that.
Yeah, I got those two things.
so I yelled and screamed enough for all the parents.
I love it. I love it. I know son was so proud. Like, oh, yep, that's my dad. There's always that one father.
He was my favorite. He was better as my player than he was when I was just a parent in the stands. When I was a parent in the stands, he didn't like me, coaching from the stands, or he didn't like me, But when I was coaching, he called me coach. He was respectful.
So
Mason was my favorite player to coach because Mason did whatever was asked of him, and he was a great teammate. He was a phenomenal teammate. He was the first one. If he was on the bench and call a timeout, he was the first one off the bench greeting his teammates. He was very unselfish. He never cared about scoring. He guarded all 5 positions.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Perfect player.
Wonderful. That's what we need. NBA players need to start watching these kids now. We get defense, we get sportsmanship, teamwork. Like this is all we want in the NBA.
Plus, he was always on the ground for loose ball. I told him I wanted him to be the kind of player that could affect the game without scoring. I wanted people to be better. I wanted him to be the type of player that made everybody else better, and he really was that kind of kid. So I was proud of him for that. Yeah.
That is so huge. Again, why being a dad is so special. We have Mike Patton saying, like, it still trips him out that he has a 9-year-old little girl. Best job ever. So I love that you touched on that. And props to son. And on your Instagram, that was an old picture of you, right? You used to play basketball too, right, Michael?
No, if by play basketball, you mean JV. And
yeah, it counts.
I remember one time, this is a JV game. Coach was subbing me in.
Okay.
And it's my freshman year. Coach was subbing me in. And I ran on the field as if it were football or soccer. Yeah. I didn't check it at the scorer's table. So my dumb ass is at center court yelling for Kirk Douglas to get off the court. And I'm supposed to be in. And I'm like, oh, it's complete brain cramp, right? So and then, but the picture I think that I posted was me in my football uniform. And again, if by playing high school football you mean I was on the team, yes, I was on the team.
I love it. I love it. This is like those special moments, and you get to watch again life coming full circle. Now you get to watch your son enjoying those moments.
Oh, he's a much better athlete than I ever was. I ever could have dreamed of.
Already. And if you talk about just what you've accomplished, what you've done, I see you rocking the Harvard shirt. That was something you did this summer too, right?
Harvard. I went to I did 4 at Harvard.
There you go.
4 days.
Look, that counts. More than many of the rest of us have done, Mike. All right, so clap. It looked like an incredible experience, right?
Oh, it was phenomenal. It was a phenomenal group of people. It was eye-opening. It was enlightening. It was the business of entertainment, media, and sports.
Yeah.
And Anita Elbersy does a phenomenal job. She attracts any and everybody from every walk of life to that course. And it's funny, like I've had the privilege to be able to not only meet but introduce my wife to President and Mrs. Obama, Michael Jordan. She has never been more impressed with me than when I introduced her to Allie Love. She went ballistic when she met Allie Love. So
we love Allie Love. We love her. It makes sense. Yeah. That's incredible. And that's going to be when I know I've made it. When I get that invite, Michael, I'm going to be on the show with my Harvard sweatshirt, much like Michael Smith. But again, it looked like an incredible experience. To do that. Going back to something you said earlier, talk about changing the culture, right? And Stuart Scott and what he did. You have a show on TV called Brother from Another. And me growing up, and seeing a show called that, and especially for the young folks, I think that's huge because already that touches certain folks. And then what you did at ESPN, of course, everyone, especially my generation, remembers you and Jamel Hill, his and hers. Talk about changing the culture. And, when you look at yourself and kind of being a man that has helped to change that culture, really helped to show what it is to be authentically yourself. And so when you look at your show with Peacock and what you did with ESPN, kind of what are you proud of when it comes to making sure that Black voices are in media and they can be authentic and we can bring our culture to the table?
Wow, Kelsey. I really appreciate the question. Thank you for saying that. I don't know that there's a whole lot more than I could add. You kind of said everything that I would hope that I've accomplished. So again, because of people like Stuart Scott,
right?
Because of people like Ralph Wiley, I was able to. I never felt, no matter how things may have ended, and no matter how corporate at the end, they all corporations,
right?
I never felt like I had to be anybody other than me. And if there was any pushback on that, they learned real quick that this is what you see is what you get. Like, I always felt empowered, whether it's just how I'm wired or whether it's, like I said, the people that blazed the trail before me. I just always felt empowered to bring my whole self to work and on camera. And the best advice I ever got was just get better at being yourself. And you know, I knew that I carried with me a responsibility. I knew that there were people that were going to be watching and, you know, inspired, if you will, by seeing, just as I was by Stuart Scott, and others, by seeing a Black man be unapologetically Black on camera. I knew that was going to be important to a lot of people, but I never felt that as a pressure or a burden, because all I was just doing was being myself. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the people who fought those battles so that when I got to ESPN in 2004, I didn't have to be anybody other than me. Now, that's not to say that there weren't some challenges. That's not to say that there weren't some people who didn't get me. But I never saw that as a hindrance. If they didn't get me, then oh well, then you know what? Somebody out there gets this reference that I'm making. Somebody out there gets this hip hop line or this rap lyric or this movie line I just dropped. Somebody out there is a nerd just like me. Somebody out there is in the comic books. Somebody out there, you know, can quote every line of Coming to America. Somebody out there, you know, just understands this struggle of being Black in corporate America. And so, you know, I guess I always knew that I was speaking for and to people that look like me, but it was always more of a privilege and an honor, and it always just came, I guess, naturally, if that makes sense. It was never something that I was going to work every day conscious of, like, all right, I gotta hold it down and keep it real today. It's like, nah, I always looked at it as like, I have to be able to look myself in the mirror at night. And I gotta be able to go to sleep knowing that I said what needed to be said, that I spoke my heart, that I was authentic. And that's not to say that everybody gets down with me. Like I understand that there are some things that I have said. Like it's not like every Black person that ever watched me on ESPN agree with everything I ever said. Like we're not a monolith. Like, there's a lot of Black people that be like, no, I disagree with that. But I said what I believed. And I think that's what people appreciated more than anything, is that here is a brother who is gonna speak his truth. And if that truth makes some people uncomfortable, so be it. But I was always comfortable with people being uncomfortable with me, if that makes sense. Like I think I get that from my mama. Like I was never interested in being everybody's cup of tea. And I think as time went on, the industry started to kind of catch up to that. And ESPN started to catch up to that. Listen, you know, I got to ESPN in 2004. In 2008, the world changed. You know what I mean? And talk about moving the culture forward. I mean, let's not that we all know racism didn't end. In fact, it was probably only intensified. But you know, having a Black president in office changed a lot
Right.
Going from 2008 to 2016. And so I think there's my career at ESPN coinciding with the Obama era.
Yeah.
I think that certainly helped. I still think we were late to involving more women, specifically more Black women, into the conversation.
Right.
I'm very, very proud of. You mentioned his and hers. One of the things I'm really, really proud of is the image of not only a Black man and a Black woman as equals, but a Black man respecting, revering, and even deferring to a Black woman in some instances.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I felt like that representation was important. I thought me and Jamel's relationship, it was important insofar as people needed to see that. People needed to see a Black man and Black woman hold each other down in that way that we did.
Right.
And I feel like, and I can say this, I probably wouldn't have said it, but I could say it because, it's funny, as time has gone on, a lot of people have said it to me.
Yeah.
About how inspirational it was. I mean, I'm proud of the fact that, people like you, Kelsey, could grow up seeing Jamel in that position.
Right.
I'm proud of the fact that there are not only more Black people doing this. I'm certainly not suggesting that they're doing it because of me. I'm not Serena Williams in this thing. I'm saying but it's more the norm to see Black men and Black women, and in many cases together, creating content and telling our stories in an authentic and unapologetic way. So that's a very long-winded response, but you made me very reflective. So I thank you for the question. I am proud of having been that representation for people in the same way that that Stewart and others were for me growing up. I'm proud of some of the conversations I've been at the forefront of. Whether it's along racial lines, along gender lines. I'm proud I'm proud of having been somebody that people could count on that's gonna tell it like it is. And gonna say what needs to be said, and gonna speak for the people that need to be spoken for. I'll stop there. But yeah,
no, you were dropping a whole word. And I think it's so important though, because, we live in a world where, imposter syndrome for some has been the norm because they still feel like they can't bring their full selves to work. They're afraid to bring their culture. And so the fact, like you said, that you had a chance to do that, and, you talk about the time period, 2008, but then, fast forward, Michael, to doing that during the then new Trump presidency era, which was probably harder. Right.
Oh, man.
To bring that culture, right? I mean, if we're keeping it real, right? And you're thinking about that time frame, and honestly, you can even say now, and the time frame that we're in. So I say all that to say, I think at the time period, it was huge, it was revolutionary. But even now, something that people can point to, that's something journalism, professors and teachers are pointing to. And, the representation is huge. It means something when you can see somebody that looks like you, that talks like you, that's from the same background and culture.
That makes the same jokes, what I mean?
That you get, that you're laughing at, right? And, because, I think back to, I remember, you talk about private school. I remember I was going to a private school doing volleyball camp, and all the girls watch Seinfeld, Michael, and I was the only one that didn't watch Seinfeld. So they make all these jokes, and I didn't know that, because I didn't watch it. I didn't have cable. I didn't have cable till high school. So I missed a lot of these shows. But I said to say, but then when they talked about, like Moesha and, those type of shows that I was watching, growing up, you remember UPN, New People's Network and stuff, like those were shows I was watching. Then I could get into that. And so, when somebody makes those references, I'm able to relate to that. Same reason why at the beginning of the show, we bring the go-go beat in. That's part of me. I'm from the DMV area, right? That's part of who I am. And folks, from the area obviously know that. So, I think it means a lot. And just know, you are inspiring folks, and you are, again, helping others, I'd say, in this industry to know that they can be themselves, and people will give you an opportunity. Networks will take a chance on you for being you. And sometimes that can be the hardest thing, to be comfortable walking in your own shoes. So again, Michael, don't little it down. You're doing so much for so many.
I appreciate that. I think also too, and I've always been this person, you know. So it's like I don't know anybody else to be. My brother is the actor in the family. I'm not an
Yeah.
actor. Although I would say I was pretty good in those skits, if I do say so myself. But no, I think it can be challenging, and I recognize that I'm saying this to a Black woman, but this is relatively speaking. It could be
Yeah.
challenging for a Black man in this industry that did not play
Mm.
and that does not conform to certain stereotypes of what white executives think a Black man should be, should sound like, should
Right.
think like, should act like.
Right.
Okay. And so I feel like whether it's how I present, whether it's my appearance, whether it's my interests, whether it's, just my personality, whatever it is, I feel like that I was able to show
Yeah.
that there is room for, you know, a nerdy, corny, light-skinned Black dude that didn't play professional sports
Right.
to still, speak intelligently and authoritatively about
Yeah.
sports,
Yeah.
because honestly, I don't know still that a lot of white executives, they look at their use for Black men as, did you play? If you played, you're good. You
Right.
didn't play, we aren't often seen as intellectuals. Our commentary, and in some cases, listen, I'm not alone in this game,
Right.
but I'm saying there are much fewer examples of me than there are of, let's say Colin Cowherd, for example.
Right.
And so I think that remains an obstacle for us.
Yeah.
Is that's like, okay, our credibility doesn't necessarily come from our intellectual capabilities. It comes from our on-field experience.
Did you play? Yep.
Yeah.
And it's the same, I'd say, for Black women now, right? You see more former athletes, getting to that point. And what you said, I think, is so real, Michael, because again, we're not like me. I'm a Black woman. You're a Black man. I do not represent all Black women, especially in America. Right. You don't represent all Black men. We come in so many different forms, shapes, all of us look different. I think honestly, that's what I love about being Black, just the versatility of us. And, how diverse we can be, what we bring to the table.
Yeah.
But as you said, a lot of times, sometimes you'll try to be placed in this box. And if you're not in that box, and especially if you're not a former athlete, you're still trying to find a way into where you want to be. It's a lot different now, in the media field, because they will just pick the former athlete, give them a mic, and that's not to say we don't enjoy that and like commentary.
Sure.
But, folks who are going to journalism school, they want a chance too to give commentary and talk about how they look at the game and analyze the game.
Well, and I mean, also too, again, because so many of the executives and decision makers are white men,
right?
They're very narrow and oftentimes unimaginative view of what works can be one of the hindrances I was talking about. So again, even though I felt like, hey, this is who I am, being me at one point was not something that anybody was checking for.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I say that to say, like, for example, I'll give you a couple of examples, things that I remember about, that, as Arsenio used to say, again, this is before your time, things that make you go, okay, things that make you go, I remember it's about this would have been 2011, 2010, 2011-ish. We were starting Numbers Never Lie. And the producer asked me who I wanted to co-host the show with. I gave him 3 names. I said, in no particular order, I said Michael Holley, I said Bomani Jones, and I said Jamel Hill. And I pretty much got laughed out the room.
Wow.
Because at the time, it was like, we ain't putting 2 Black people on TV at the same time together.
Right.
Because they felt like the model was PTI. They thought the model was First Take, Black versus white.
Right.
When in actuality, a lot of times that's just old versus old. Like they may have different skin color, but they think the same. No disrespect intended. But like
Right.
Mike and Tony, the goats at this thing, they agree more than they disagree. One just happens to be white, one just happens to be black. But they
Right.
agree about most things. Just because you put a white person, black person on the set, doesn't mean they're gonna fall in line with what you think they're gonna say.
Right.
Doesn't mean they're gonna, go at it. And that's not what people only want to see is conflict. So I remember, but I remember doing an audition. They humored me and had me do an audition with Michael Holley. One of the questions a white dude asked in the room was, so how are you two guys different? And Michael and I still joke about that to this day. We'll make that reference all the time on the show, like, how are y'all different? Michael and I argue like cats and dogs. We fight like cats and dogs. We don't agree. 90% of things we disagree on, as close as we are. But it's like, but you see two black dudes and you're like, well, how are y'all different? Speaking of which, I remember explicitly and implicitly being made to feel like they wanted me to be, at the time, this would have been circa 2011, 2012 or something like that. Right. Wanted me to be like Stephen A. And I'm nothing like Stephen A. Smith.
Right.
In no way, shape, or form. Ideologically, perspective-wise,
right,
presentation-wise, only thing we got in common is the last name.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, that's not me.
Right.
I ain't trying to be him.
Right.
It's like so. But again, that's what certain white people think we have to be. Because that's what they think. That's what they want. So be more like that. Like, nah, player, that ain't. You got the wrong one. You got me. I don't know if I can cuss on this. But,
you keep a real Michael on this show.
you got me fucked up. If you think I'm trying to be Stephen A. Smith, like, no.
Right.
Like, I'm Michael Smith. Nice to meet you. And if I'm not your cup of tea, so be it. Like,
right.
I'll be like, I'll whatever. It's cool. I want somebody that believes in me and wants me for me. And so, but those are the types of, I guess you could say, like, microaggressions, I guess would be the technical term for it, or
that happens,
system. And I mean, and listen, those are just like, I remember I wasn't in the room for it, but I look back at, I think it was like 2011, 2012, and I mean, you mentioned Jamel. I remember like executives at ESPN telling Jamel, "Yo, we don't know what to do with you." This is 2000. This is not even 10 years ago.
Not that long ago, yeah.
We don't know what to do with you. So it's like, it hasn't always, it hasn't always been rose petals being thrown at my feet. There's been a lot of times where I just had to, like, overcome, the boundaries or the boxes or whatever you want to call it, that white people wanted to put
on you
in. And also fight. I never was going to conform, and I never was going to change.
Right.
But I wondered if the industry, the marketplace, whatever you want to call it, was ever going to truly appreciate me for me.
For you, yeah.
Where the breakthrough really happened for me was when I stopped giving a fuck. And I stopped worrying about whether or not I was going to be, like I said, everybody's cup, whether, and I'm talking about the audience more so now.
Okay.
Where I was like, okay, am I ever going to make it big?
Right.
I stopped worrying about making it big, and I just more was concerned about just being the best version of me that I could be.
Yeah.
And if that was what you enjoyed, if you liked it, great. If you didn't, and I really started to get to a point where I realized too, and this is part of when I stopped wasting my time on social media arguing with people, is I started to like worry about the people who liked me, make them love me. The people who didn't fuck with me, all right, no problem.
Yeah,
it's cool. You know what I mean? But I think there's a lot more in the former than the latter. But also just not being consumed with all of that stuff. All that stuff is immaterial. It's trivial. It's irrelevant. It's a waste of time. But again, society, and the industry, and it just all started to evolve. I'm flattered and proud and humbled to think that I was at the forefront of that.
Yeah.
Again, I wasn't alone. I'm not alone, but last thing I would say that I'm most proud of is the people that I've been able to share my platforms with.
Yeah.
Who were able to kind of find themselves in the process.
That's deep.
Like that. That's probably and that's my biggest mission at this point. There's only so many takes I can give at this point in my life. I mean, that's not what's important to me. What's most important to me now, and I'm not to try to sound magnanimous or anything like that, but what's most important to me now is elevating and amplifying.
Yeah.
Same as was done for me. Same as was done for me. Like I mentioned Amina Hussein earlier.
Yeah.
Same woman who's who without her presence at Amazon, I'm not part of Thursday Night Football. Back in 2004, when they would have their production meetings, and the default on the part of the producers was to go and call Chris Mortensen or rest in peace John Clayton for NFL insight and analysis. She'd be like, call Michael Smith.
Right.
So I had an advocate in those rooms.
Huge. Yes. And that's what's needed. Those advocates.
Right. Likewise, when it came time for Amazon, Amina, 20 years later, like Michael Smith, and so what would I be if I didn't, in my own way, do the same thing?
To give it back. That's huge. And having those advocates, folks, and allies is so important. So going back to New Orleans, I'm often on WWL radio.
Yeah.
A shout out to Mike Dietler for always having me on, making sure that my voice is there, and I love it. I'm a Black woman on the show with a great group of white guys, but they want my perspective, in my opinion. And, it means a lot. And as you said, having those advocates to make sure that your voice is in that room. What you said, Michael, you touched on so many great things too. Like, again, when you're yourself, I'm somebody like, most people know I'm a smiler. I'm usually happy, but like people will say things and I'm able to turn it off and turn it on. But it's me. And this is just how I always have been. And that's what I try to bring to my broadcast. Like you, high energy. I love what I do. Enthusiasm. That's in every single thing that I do. This is me as a Black woman, not to be put in a box, not to have someone have me on and just come bring attitude or sass. Because that's not who I am. And I'm only being true and real to me. So can't emphasize that enough. Michael, I don't want to take so much of your time, but this is such a good interview. I want to get some of these questions in. So we talk about being real.
Oh, I'm chilling. No, this
like, all right, Michael, I'll keep you a little bit then.
This is your time. This is your time. I've also been giving long-winded answers. You're asking some
they're great answers. This is why
I feel like this is your life, man.
Yeah. I love this. The comments are flowing in as we talk about being real and the culture. Antoine Smith wants to know, are you still an avid sneaker collector? Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Are we getting you in trouble at home, Mike?
I mean, listen, I'm not in charge of the money. It's not as bad as it once was, but yeah, it is. It is. And my wife is like, another one? Yeah, I'm like,
we might have got you in trouble. Apologies, Michael.
No, I mean, listen, it's just, I am very much an ask for forgiveness and not permission type of person. So yes, I am. Yeah.
What's the last pair of sneakers that you bought? Can we ask that?
I won't tell you the last pair I bought because it's kind of embarrassing. It's a little obnoxious to tell you the truth. But the pair before that, I think the pair before that was just a pair of 11 lows, Jordan 11 lows.
Okay.
I'm really transitioning into 11 and like Jordan lows more. I don't like the Jordan 1 lows. I like the 11 lows. They're more versatile. You can wear them with shorts, that sort of thing. So I bought a 72 and 10 lows.
Okay.
Couple of pairs of Pumas, which just had great colorways from the shop in New Orleans named Nouveau. Shout out to Nouveau. They got a really good selection of sneakers and apparel. I'll tell you offline the last pair that I bought.
All right. We'll have that conversation offline. Sorry, folks. Y'all not privy to that.
Let's just say it's a designer pair. All
right. Well, it was a designer pair, the last pair that you bought. Talk about New Orleans. You're not an LSU fan, are you, Michael? Indiana? I
No,
know you were still
no.
heartbroken from what happened in that game.
No. I
Okay.
wasn't emotionally invested in that. My brother went to LSU for a couple of years. I had some friends that went to LSU, but I'm not invested in LSU like that.
Okay. So
So
you're good. That's
I,
good.
I got more important people in my life that went to Florida State that actually went to
Ah,
LSU, to tell you the truth.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you
So
go.
yeah.
So
Well, not
happy.
more important, but you know what I mean. My lawyer went to Florida State, so she was
Oh,
happy, so I was
well,
happy.
that's
You know.
good, and that's a good
Yeah.
person to keep happy. Definitely keep the lawyer
Exactly.
happy at all
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
all times. And staying on Louisiana, let's talk a little football before I let you go. New Orleans Saints. A lot of people are pretty high on them, Michael, this coming season. I'm assuming Saints fan, right? Because of the New Orleans ties. No, not a Saints fan.
Well, yes and no,
Okay.
or no and yes.
Okay.
I'm a New Orleans fan,
Okay.
so I know how much the city lives and breathes and rides
The
and
Saints.
dies with the Saints.
Yeah.
So I like when the Saints are successful because I know that how much that uplifts my people.
Yeah.
I do not have the temperament to root for anybody. Like honestly, so again, I'm old. You got to understand, I'm old. Like, you know, I got into the business, Jumbo. When I got into the business, it was more frowned upon
Hmm.
at the time for a journalist to
Right.
be a fan,
Of a team.
to
Yeah.
openly root. Yeah, it's like, especially I'm young. I mean, I'm 21, 22 years old, working at the Boston Globe. I can't be a fan. Like I gotta be completely objective. I gotta be neutral. You know, I gotta be impartial. And so I divorced myself from fandom in the truest sense. Now, look, I still root for good stories.
Okay.
I root for good people. I root for people that I have relationships with. But I don't like represent a certain team.
Okay.
But when I was growing up, though, but that doesn't absolve me from this. And I got a lot of people in New Orleans that have disowned me as a result of it. But I mean, so 1991, they lost at home to the Falcons in the playoffs. 1992, they lost at home to the Eagles in the playoffs. Having led 20-3 at halftime, they lost 36-20.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn that. I'm done with this team. I can't
You don't have
with
to
this.
go through heartbreak anymore then.
I'm like, I can't, my nerves too bad because again, you got to understand the thing about New Orleans as opposed to everywhere else. See, when I was growing up in New Orleans did not have the relationship with LSU, and it may still not. But black people in New Orleans didn't ride with LSU like that when I was coming up. I mean, like, it's more of a recent phenomenon.
Right.
So we weren't really like in on LSU. All we had was the Saints. We didn't have the Pelicans.
Right.
We had the Saints, and that was it. And so your entire mood was affected by what the Saints did on Sunday. It would take till Thursday to cleanse yourself of the bitterness from the Sunday's defeat. Okay. But mind you, I didn't even grow up with the Aints. I grew up when it was I grew up with who that? Like 86, I was 7 years old. 87, I was 8. They started to get good, but they were too much of a tease. And I'm like, no, I cannot take like having like basically being pulled up to be dropped. Like, no, you're not. I can't. So in 1991, I was not a bandwagon jumper. 91, I started to really be intrigued by these triplets in Dallas because I like Troy Aikman. I collected football cards. I like Troy Aikman when he was at UCLA. I had his rookie card, and he got drafted by the Cowboys in '89. Urban was '88. Emmett was 90. So 91, to bring this conversation kind of sort of full circle.
Yeah.
I remember watching a Thursday night football game where Michael Irvin was giving Deion Sanders the business. Okay?
Yeah.
Giving him the business, just running just slant routes all day long. I'm like, yo, I like the Cowboys. Jimmy Johnson. So they went 11-5 in 91. Then they won the Super Bowl in 92, 93, and 95. So I was a Cowboys fan growing up, but when I got into the business, I was no longer a fan. But I cried like a baby, Kelsey.
Yeah.
When the Saints won the Super Bowl.
Oh.
All my inner child, all the memories, all the getting out of church early to get home and watch the Saints game.
Oh yeah.
All of that stuff came back. And Katrina, everything just like poured out because I knew what it meant to the city.
Yeah.
Basketball wise, I like Run TMC. I used to love the Warriors.
Yeah.
I used to watch them late at night on TNT. Baseball wise, I was a Braves fan.
Okay.
And it's funny you mentioned. I actually rooted for FSU growing up. I liked FSU.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Because I liked back then they were losing to Miami. They couldn't get a kicker, so they was missing field goals, wide right. And so I liked FSU. Ampley, Casey Weldon, Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
Bar none in them. So that was my squad, my college squad. But then when I got into the business, I had to be as neutral and professional as possible as to be a credible journalist or whatever. So yeah.
Well, that's good. Like I said, you don't have to go through the heartbreak and emotions that many fans will soon be going through.
I don't.
Now
I can just enjoy it. But that's what fantasy football is that.
But that's true.
Now,
that's where you go through your emotions in fantasy football. But I love that you
or AAU basketball. That's where I lose.
Well, there you go. You'll drop them all as a dad for the son in AAU basketball. So look, I know all good wishes and good aura to the son for a great basketball season coming up. But I like that. I need to do that because when you have your heart on the team, sometimes.
Who's your squad? Or wait, are you a Commanders?
So I'm a DMV person, Michael. So I'm born in Maryland. So I give full disclosure. I worked for the Commanders, but I am a Baltimore girl. So Ravens. We need to pay Lamar. Season coming up, Michael.
So you're a Ravens fan, but you work for the Commanders. But you're a Ravens fan.
But you know the DMV. Baltimore and DC. They know they don't like each other, but look, they're close enough. All right. So yeah.
What about hoops? Wizards?
So you understand basketball season is long for me, Michael. Yes, because I'm a Wizards fan. Glad we got the throwback jerseys, and I hope we just want to do well this year in the East. All right, Wizards, please, man.
And then and do you follow baseball? You do Nationals too?
So I cover the Nationals, but I'm an Orioles fan. So this year it's been good.
Baltimore, right. Baltimore.
Yeah, it's been good.
Okay.
DMV is a weird place though, because
where'd you go to school? I should know all of this. I should have researched.
Yes, I know. So I'm a Maryland football. So it's going to be a long year for us, Michael. But we won this past weekend. All right, so Maryland football.
What years did you attend Maryland?
2010 to 2014. So Stephon Diggs was at Maryland when I was there. So yeah, shout out to Stephon Diggs.
Did Kevin Blackstone?
Kevin Blackstone was one of my professors. Yes, at Maryland. See, there you go. Look at the tie around, folks.
That's what I was asking. Yeah.
This how small the world is.
But you were there with Stephon Diggs?
Stephon Diggs was there. Torrey Smith was there my freshman year. He was a senior. So I had some good football players, that came out of Maryland. We get some good guys, in the NFL. So don't sleep on Maryland folks in the Big Ten. All right.
Okay. All right.
But college football season is long for Maryland fans usually, Michael. I'm not gonna lie. We like basketball season.
Yes. Yes.
Kevin Willard, bring us some joy.
Yeah, no, Maryland, especially when I was coming out, that was the Steve Francis, Joe Smith Maryland days.
Yes. Oh, look, you're taking us back. You are. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad. And I talk to young kids and they only know Juan Dixon from Real Housewives of Potomac, Michael. I sometimes shed a tear,
Wait, Juan Dixon is on Real Housewives?
His wife, or what is it? Ex-wife, wife. I don't watch the show enough. Robin.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on half the time. I'm worried about my own wife. I don't watch Real Housewives. I got a wife of my own to manage, man. Like what I'm doing watching somebody else's household.
Look, Mike, I don't have time.
No disrespect. Because now the one I do know and I pull for it, I love her to death. Sonia Richards-Ross.
Yes. Athletes on the show. We love to see that.
That's my people right there. That's my people. I know Sonia very well. I haven't really watched the show, but I'm rooting for her. Whatever's happening, I'm rooting for her.
I love that.
I'm rooting for everybody black, but I'm rooting for her.
There you go. Rooting for everybody black. We want y'all all to do well. I love that, Mike. But yes, college football season is going to be long. NFL season is going to be long. Excited for Thursday.
The Ravens going to be good. You don't think the Ravens going to be good?
I think they're going to be good. I would love a veteran, wide receiver, but I think they're going to be honestly good. But the biggest thing with Baltimore, of course, they just got to stay healthy, right? You look at last season and the injuries killed, especially the defensive side of the football. So you got to stay healthy. And the biggest thing, again, you got to keep Lamar happy. He means so much to that offense.
I could not imagine, that's the most. I could not imagine representing myself. I don't have the temperament to represent myself.
I mean, he's the definition of bet on yourself, though, right? I mean, literally, you're trying to get one of the largest contracts.
Okay, but there's bet on yourself, and then there's represent yourself.
Yeah,
it's like, because my wife will be like, "Wait, why are we paying commission?" I'm like, because I don't want to hear them talk shit about me to my face. I don't want some executive saying, "You know what? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, like I'd be pissed off if I'm Lamar Jackson. We can't have an honest. I don't know how he compartmentalizes like that.
I'm telling
How can you have a conversation about what the organization thinks you're worth and then go and perform
and then have to play for them? Yeah, that's not easy.
Man.
So Baltimore has a lot going on. I'm sure, as you know, in DC, we're just excited that Brian Robinson is okay after, I'm sure you heard what happened, getting shot in DC. So like, there's a lot going on in this area. But Commanders fans are wondering what Carson Wentz will do this year. So a lot of them are anxious and nervous, a lot hanging upon him. Still getting used to this name change and this new fight song, Michael. I don't know if you heard the new fight song, but a lot of fans aren't fans of it. So this is the DMV for you, though. It's always something going on. Like,
I haven't heard the new fight song. Listen, this summer has been a blur. I took a lot of vacation this summer.
As you should have. You deserve it.
I don't know if I've heard the new fight song. Why don't they just you know what they could do?
Yeah.
Again, this is full circle.
All right, full circle.
Why haven't they made the fight song the wobble? If they make the fight song the wobble, can they do that legally? Can they license
it? It could happen. Look, the go-go bands be here playing here on all summer long. That's what we want. That would be nice because I'm
gonna holler at Jason Wright. I'm gonna be like, Jason.
Yeah.
Jason, get the wobble as a fight song.
And we're good.
Or let me clear my throat or something. I don't know.
Keep DC happy. Keep the folks happy, Mike. It'll be better than when you hear it. We're gonna have to tweet it, Michael. We're gonna be looking out for it. Hear the fight song. Give us your comments somehow, some way, because I would love your thoughts on that. But again, lots happening in the DMV. Before I let you go, though, again, we have Thursday Night Football. We talked about Stephon Diggs. We'd love to get your thoughts. Buffalo Bills, Los Angeles Rams. Michael, what are you thinking in this one? That's gonna finally kick us off for this regular season of football.
Man, the Rams, I really feel like it's been a while since I've felt this good about a defending Super Bowl champion.
Yeah, it's hard, but they look good, Michael.
They could win it again. Like, they won it in spite of so much last year. Like, I mean, the injuries that they sustained at running back last year, for example, they had a lot of youth in spots that they were able to overcome. I feel like, look, Stafford played through the elbow last year. If Stafford continue to manage it this year, you got Allen Robinson opposite Cooper Kupp now.
Yeah.
They got Bobby Wagner on defense now.
Right.
Behind Aaron Donald. I know they lost Von Miller. But I really like the Rams to go back and win it in the NFC, man. I think Sean McVay is on his way to being, I'm not saying he's going to win as much as he did, but this is going to be Sean McVay's league in the same way that it was Bill Belichick's league, where everybody was trying to copy Belichick, and it was the Patriots way.
Yeah.
And you already seen it with the various GMs and head coaches that are off the Sean McVay tree. Which is technically the Kyle Shanahan tree, but nonetheless, it's like, the Sean McVay way of doing things is really permeating throughout the league. I think he got a chance to really go on a run here, or to quote Benny the Butcher, this is year 3 in the beginning of a 10-year run.
There you go.
So I like them in the NFC.
Yeah.
And you know what? Why not? I think, you know what? How about this? Full circle. And I can't be the first person to say this.
Yeah.
The opener, we're gonna end it the way we started. Buffalo and the Rams.
Ooh, I think Buffalo's a good team too. Everybody loves Josh Allen, right?
Buffalo's got no weaknesses. Buffalo's got no weaknesses.
Strong. Defense.
No
strong.
weaknesses.
Like, you could be right.
They should have been in it last year.
The unfinished business from last year, right? So they had that nasty taste in their mouth.
Yeah, I think this could. It's rare that a Super Bowl preview, you're talking about like the first game of the season. Usually it's like it takes a few weeks to get there. It's like, all right, we got 2 8-0 teams. We got the best, like, by the time teams establish themselves, like these two teams should be there at the very end. I do like Baltimore. I do like Cincinnati. I don't think they're a flash in the pan. Kansas City can be. They're going to always be there. The usual. It's going to be the usual suspect.
Right.
But I think Baltimore. I think Buffalo has. It's so sadly ironic that they completely fumbled when it came to handling the punter situation, when they don't even need a punter. And I don't mean to make light of the situation, but it was like this was about a punter. That the biggest issue they had was punting. I'm seeing my man. Somebody just put up. They got questions about the Bills running the football. Between Josh Allen,
because he'll run.
Devin Singletary, and James Cook, they'll manufacture enough of a running game. All they need is enough of a running game so that they can't drop 8-9 people in the coverage. I mean, they don't have to. I mean, do they need a running game to close out a game? Yeah, they do.
Right.
But I think more often than not, they're gonna be in control enough where they'll be able to salt the game away without having a bona fide superstar running back who might be Josh Allen anyway. But that's a good observation, nonetheless.
Yeah.
But I'm less concerned about that. I think that's more of a nit that we're picking there. I think it's the usual suspects. The teams with the great quarterbacks. It really there was a point in the NFL where you'd be like, oh, do you need a good quarterback? Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
you do. You need a decent quarterback to keep your job. You need a great quarterback to compete.
There you go. So, I like that. Yep. Yeah. And that's what it is. Like you said, the teams with the great quarterbacks right now, those are the teams that
they're gonna all be there
to be contenders.
They're gonna all be there. Barring catastrophic injury, barring something like the Ravens went through last year, they're gonna all be there. I just realized something. Were you asking me if I was an LSU fan because of this helmet behind me?
It's funny. It's so funny because I noticed the helmet after I asked you that question.
So this is like going back to like people that I'm like proud of.
Yeah.
This is the only reason I have this helmet is this is a signed helmet from Marcus Spears.
Look at that.
Marcus Spears signed this and it says, congrats. This was we did a show, our last His and Hers. We did it at the site of the college football playoff. I think was this in LA? And Marcus Spears and Maria Taylor were on the show. This was before they were Marcus and Maria. This was when they were Marcus. This is when they were doing a podcast called Beyond the Lights.
Yeah.
And they were working, I believe they were still at the SEC network. I don't know if Maria was hosting game day, certainly before she was hosting Countdown, certainly before she was hosting Football Night in America, Maria Taylor.
Everything.
This is when she was on the come up, Marcus too. And before they became rock stars. And they looked to us as kind of like big brother and big sister. So they came on the set, and this was when he signed the LSU helmet for me. Maria signed the Georgia helmet for Jamel. And so that's why I got this. So I'm not an LSU fan. It was like,
but it comes from someone special. Shout out to
Mike. Let me get this right. Yeah, to Mike and Jamel. I can't get this right. Damn it. There we go.
We see it right there. Yeah, to Mike and Jamel. And Marcus, he's killing it. That is so awesome.
That's my dog. That's
how you got the LSU tie. And it's funny. So Michael, I'm getting some shots in my comments right now because I forgot to mention Georgetown. I'm also a Georgetown fan. I went to Georgetown for grad school. So also shout out to Georgetown. Hope Pat Ewan and the basketball team can get it together.
Were you there with McNutt?
So Monica's a little bit older than me, but we've worked together. Okay. We're both from the same area, so I've known Monica. Yeah, we crossed paths. I love her and all that she's doing. Talk about
that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm saying. What a time! Like Monica McNutt out there doing her thing. No, but seriously, like Kelsey, I appreciate you and having me. I appreciate you giving me these flowers.
Of course.
But I'm just really I'm really proud of you and happy for you. Like we don't know each other well.
We don't, y'all, for real, me and Michael met, we connected on LinkedIn, and this is the first time we're having a conversation. So everything y'all are seeing is just natural conversation. This is amazing, Mike.
I've been aware of and familiar. I've seen your work and seen some of the moves, but I just really like that you're like emphasis on making moves. Like, it's like you're not being moved and you're not like waiting. It's like you're just doing it. You know what I mean? Like I see you just like making it happen. You know what I mean?
Thank you so much. All I know is the hustle, Mike. I appreciate that so much.
That's what it is. And it's about the process. I've always embraced the process. I'm fascinated by the process. It's like people say, trust the process. Trust the process comes with a level of reluctance that robs you of enjoyment. Like, don't just trust it. Like, you gotta the process has to be what drives you.
Oh, yeah.
Like the process has to be the thing that you enjoy. If you are motivated by results, if you are motivated by reward, if you are motivated by recognition, you are setting yourself up for disappointment. You have to be enamored with the process. I love the process of asking people questions. I love the process of researching. I love learning. I love scouting. I love going to different teams. I just did 12 teams in the last 2 weeks. I love going to teams and networking and shaking hands and kissing babies and finding out information. Like, I love that process, whether or not it's recognized, rewarded, or whatever the result of that is. I just enjoy the craft. Like, you have to enjoy the craft. And I could just tell by your presence, your energy, your presentation, your preparation, that you enjoy the craft.
Yes.
And everything else is just going to follow and flow from that.
That means so much, Michael. Coming from you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Again, I cannot thank you enough for your time. Everyone, thank you for listening. I mean, the comments have been flowing, Michael. Everybody loves you, adores you. I'm going to let you go back to your family. If you don't mind, me, be one more question, because James, he's
I'm good. I'm straight.
And he put it in all caps, Michael. He really wants to ask you this question.
Okay, all right. Wait, how many? Do you have a lot of questions? Do you have a lot of questions that's like, because I'm happy, unless you got to go. Look, I ain't gonna hold you. That's what we say. Well, I'm gonna let you go. Like, I know I'm gonna let you get yourself together. Like, if you got stuff to do, I can let you go. But I'm straight. I'm young. I'm in bed by 9:30. I ain't got nowhere to be. I got teenage kids. I'm straight. So if you got some questions, I'm happy to answer them. So what was one just now?
All right, let's do James. So ask Michael how he felt about being executive producer of the film National Champions. And how did you feel about the underperformed at the box office? And would you like to do any more films? And then he added a comment to that saying that he said, but hey, I personally enjoyed the film. So I wanted to make sure I added that comment.
Well, first of all, thank you, James. I appreciate you asking about National Champions. That's you have no idea what a loaded question that is, because there's a story behind it. I got a story for everything.
Okay.
So, I'm trying to consolidate the story before I tell it. So, when I left ESPN in 2019, I wanted to grow. I wanted to evolve. I wanted to reinvent myself, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
As a content creator, I didn't want to work for anybody anymore. I wanted to work with people. I didn't want to be at the mercy of somebody's imagination or lack thereof.
Right.
As much, because at a certain point we all are, I guess, but I wanted to be in this business. Yeah. So I wanted to get into making content, film, documentary, podcast, whatever. So I joined a startup that, unbeknownst to me, was going through some internal strife called Collaboratory. About 7 weeks after I left ESPN and joined Collaboratory disbanded, and the partners went their separate ways. And I joined up with two of the partners to form another content studio called Game One. Game One was co-founded by a gentleman who I learned a lot from, and I'm indebted to, named Basil Iwanek. Basil Iwanek is the founder of Thunder Road Films. Thunder Road made the John Wick franchise. They made National Champions. They made a bunch of like so many different films. I don't want to get Thunder Road confused with Warner Brothers, but Basil has made The Town. He made Sicario. He's made so many different franchise blockbuster films that Basil has made under the Thunder Road banner. So this script for National Champions comes in, and I read it and I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is a hit. We got to make this film. So we started the process of producing it. I gave some script notes early on, but along the way, I ended up leaving Game One and starting Inflection Point Entertainment in August of 20. That's my content company. I just decided I want to do it myself, right? Do it my way. No, nothing personal. Just partnership didn't work anymore. But, and it speaks to the quality of people that we're talking about at Game One, I still got credit as an executive producer for the work that I'd done on that project.
Right.
I can't speak to why it did what it did at the box office. I think it's interesting. College football, at the time when Adam Mervis wrote the script
Mm-hmm.
and the movie came out, the college football landscape evolved something serious with name, image, and likeness.
Right.
And so it's interesting that the movie reflected more closely the reality of college football more than it did when he first conceived of it, interestingly enough. But I'm really proud that I was an executive producer on that. It's my first feature film credit. And truth is, that's where I want my career to go. I want to tell our stories the way they need to be told by the people who need to tell them. And I want to make movies. I have several feature film projects in development that I'm super excited about.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you. I want my podcast network. And you know what? I want you on it. I want you and your show on my podcast network.
I will be honored.
I want to make documentaries. I want to tell stories.
Yeah.
I want to amplify voices. And I say all that to go back to what I said about the process.
Right.
I get more joy out of just having a meeting, about reading a script, about discussing a potential partnership, about meeting a producer, about meeting a writer. I have a project that I'm executive producing, a scripted series that HBO Max let go as a result of the merger with Discovery.
Mm-hmm.
They let go of the project. They had to cut it loose. Very disappointing. And that's where I go back to the results. Like the process, though, of finding that script, attaching a celebrity executive producer who I won't name, because it hasn't been announced yet. Attaching that executive producer, finding a showrunner, revising the script, giving script notes. That process gives me more joy than what do I think about the Lakers this year. Again, not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm just saying that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I love producing content. I love pulling the pieces together. And it's not about this business. An actress told me this a long time ago, but it applies to producing. It's not about hearing yes, it's how many times you can stand and hear no.
That's real.
And so I've had a lot of projects fall through. I have a lot of projects I'm excited about. So I really appreciate James asking about national champions, because I'm super proud that I was an executive producer on an STX film.
Yeah.
And I did not go to school for that. I have no experience in business other than 4 days at Harvard Business School. I have no experience in business. I've never started my own business. What I've done on ESPN and in sports media don't mean shit in Hollywood. But I'm navigating an unknown terrain. I'm just diving into a new challenge, and I'm invigorated by it. I'm invigorated by it. More questions. So
so since you're talking about that, Jamel he said we need you to produce a backstage Lakers show so we can see Patrick Beverly and
Bruh, I would pay to be a beat writer for the Los Angeles Times. Don't worry about paying me. I would pay to be a beat writer just so I could be in the vicinity of that drama. I agree. All access. Listen, man. If LeBron, I don't know that LeBron wants to cross the streams like this. I don't know that LeBron wants to be so obvious about his business endeavors. And he probably, like Russ got his own company, and all these dudes got their own outfits anyway. But if they really wanted to make some money off of this, Jeannie Buss would be like, "Yo, everybody eats B. Let's do a documentary about this season."
Oh, yeah.
Because everybody wants to know how this season's going to play out.
We would all be tuned in. I feel like we were for The Last Dance. That's how we'd be watching this. Because
they should keep, I don't know if they're still trying to trade Russ. They should keep Russ just for the theater alone.
It's true. And that's why we are looking forward to how the Lakers will be this season. All right. A couple more questions for you might come your way. Chris Pompey wants to know, ask Michael what it's like working with Al Michaels.
Oh, man. Well, thank you for that question. I have not worked closely enough to have an abundance of stories, but in my limited exposure with Al, like, I'm talking about like Amazon seminars, post-game dinner. We just, we had dinner the other night. He might be the original Dos Equis man.
Wow.
Like Al Michaels, I'm like, why are you on quarterly earnings calls for like he knows everything about everything. He's fascinating. He's got some hilarious idiosyncrasies, but he is a fascinating dude that just kind of like, and what's even more amazing is to watch people respond to him. Like people are in awe of Al Michaels.
Yeah.
And
he's like that guy, like you said, he's Al Michaels. I mean,
people are like kids around Al Michaels. They're like, holy shit, that's Al Michaels. And they just, and so I'm glad you asked that question, because I really want to like do better at being and not taking things for granted. I don't have many regrets, but I feel like things happened for me so soon.
Yeah.
And not just that, I also was so ultra competitive and ambitious especially early in my career.
Yeah.
That I never stopped to appreciate what I was doing, where I was doing it, and with whom I was doing it. And I mentioned Stewart several times.
Right.
I just never like really like stopped and was like, yo, I'm working with Stuart Scott right now.
Right.
So I should probably like just, and maybe because I'm old, I'm not one of these people that instinctively pulls out his phone and takes pictures. I should probably like do that more.
Yeah, look, mine's right here. You got to get ready for the selfies and everything, Mike. That's the world.
I should probably start to just kind of capture a lot more.
Oh
things,
yeah, because if it's not in a picture now, it's like it didn't happen almost, right? Like everybody.
Well, but there is something about taking the picture that some people say, oh, why you got your camera out? Just be in the moment. Yeah, but like if you want, like part of being in the moment is recognizing that the moment deserves a picture.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
You're gonna take a picture for those special moments. That's so true.
Yeah, and so I should probably like start to just, embrace all of these opportunities to be around these legends like Al Michaels, for example.
Yeah, and it's true.
These are great questions. Your audience takes cues from you. They ask great questions too.
I love that. All right,
what else we got?
You got to stay strong now, y'all. Michael just gave y'all a compliment, so keep bringing these strong questions. I'm gonna go to Mike Patton now, who has the show touring the AFC South. He said, "What kind of film or short?"
I know Mike. Mike's been on Brothers from Another.
Oh, you know Mike. Oh, that's right, because I retweeted that too. Yes, Mike's awesome. He wants to know what kind of film or short film interest you have outside of sports.
This is a generic, broad answer, but like if it's a good story, I want to tell it. Like I have worked on projects / have projects in development that range in subject matter from the judicial system to sexual assault and survival to paranormal activity. To I'm trying to think of this. I'm just trying to represent the range here.
This is a big range though already. You got
everything. So it's like if it's a good story and it speaks to me, I want to tell it in whatever form that takes. I'm not running from sports, but I'm certainly not confined to sports. That's one of the things I lead with whenever I meet with somebody, whenever I meet with another production company or an executive. I'm just like, I know that my experience has been in sports, but I'm not in any way limited to sports. In fact, because I enjoy movies more than I enjoy sports. I watch film. When I go upstairs, I'm not going to turn on a game. I'm going to probably turn on Goodfellas for the umpteenth time. You know what I mean?
We love a good film. What's the favorite movie, Michael?
My all-time favorite movie is Pulp Fiction.
All right, that's a good one. I feel like that's one I hear often. Pulp Fiction, that's a good one.
Pulp Fiction
it's funny
you
talk about films because I just saw, shout out to $3 National Cinema Day. So I took advantage of that, Michael, and I got to go see Breaking. Have you heard of Breaking?
Breaking? What's Breaking?
Yeah, it's actually really good. So I kind of went because everything else was sold out, but I'm glad. See, sometimes faith has it, and I saw a film that I actually really ended up liking. But it's about basically a guy who was a Marine. fought for his country. He comes back and they're basically trying to jip him out of his money and benefits, has a daughter and ex-wife to support. And so, they beat him up in the Veterans Affairs office when he's trying to just get his money. He gets mad. He walks into, I'm sorry, spoiler alert, folks, but he walks into a Wells Fargo bank and basically holds it up trying to say, look, Veteran Affairs needs to give me my money. Like, I'm owed for fighting for my country. Yeah. It's such a good film. You'll feel a type of way, though, I'll say, after the film. And I'm in DC, and you kind of look at Veterans Affairs like, you look at it sideways, but
it sounds almost like John Q a little bit.
That's what it reminded me of John Q, and except this is based on a real, a true story. And the sad part is, at the end of the film, they tell you the family still has yet to get this money, and this man got killed, during this, trying to die for principle. Yeah. So it's a film that's going to make you feel away.
Kelsey, you're lucky I don't care about spoilers, because if I did
care
about spoilers,
I the whole movie. I'm so sorry, everybody, but you should still go see the movie.
Because I'm that type. I'll still see it. I don't care about spoilers because I want to see how they get there.
I'm so bad at that. I tweet about the movie, and people are like, "Kelsey, I'm so sorry." So spoiler.
But you know what? I'll give a shout out. I mentioned my friends at Thunder Road Films.
Yeah.
They have a movie. I know Chris Pine is getting a lot of attention for "Don't Worry, Dear."
Right.
But they have a movie that Chris Pine did, and I watched it on the airplane, called The Contractor.
Okay.
It's Chris Pine and Ben Foster. And Chris Pine and Ben Foster are like fucking, put them two together, you got magic. Because Hell or High Water is a phenomenal movie. I watch it once a week. So they're just like great together, those two, right? The Contractor. I read an original version of that script. It's evolved quite a bit since then. But The Contractor is a good movie that's of a similar vein to Breaking. Not quite the same, but of a similar vein.
So there you go, folks. So we're giving y'all movie ideas. So when you're bored, we just gave y'all some things that you need to do. All right. So, here we go. Mike just wanted to add to. He has a few short story series. That's why he asked, right? So maybe collaboration.
We should talk. Look
at us making things happen. Yeah. All right, so Jamel wanted to add another show idea for Mike to produce. Celebrity boxing with Skip Bayless versus LeBron as the main event, and John Wall versus Colin Cowherd as the undercard. That would be one a lot of people would like too, Michael.
Celebrity boxing, huh? What was that show on MTV? Celebrity Deathmatch.
Yeah.
You say you remember that, or you?
Yes,
that was like when I was young.
Look, I'm old enough.
With the claymation. That was all Celebrity Deathmatch. So like a real life Celebrity Deathmatch, huh? Yeah.
That was look, I could see people tuning into that. All right, we'll give you a couple more, Mike, because I do he goes to bed at 9:30, folks. So we're gonna give him a couple time to unwind and relax.
This is good. This is fun.
James did want to ask Michael, has he ever worked with Dan Patrick?
I have. Well, and when I was young, I did I was kind of like, wow. Because again, I go back to Stewart. It wasn't just Stewart that inspired me.
Yeah.
Like I grew up watching The Big Show. So this was Patrick and Oberman, on SportsCenter at the time.
Yeah.
So when I got to ESPN, like very early on, I was on SportsCenter with Dan Patrick. And I did have to stop and be like, damn, I'm on with Dan Patrick right now. He even did a live show from a bar in Boston. And I went in as a guest at a very young age. I think I was like maybe 23, 24 years old. Yeah. Dan's been really nice. He's had me on his show quite a few times. He's been really good to me. He's been very, very available and honest, and somebody that I could run stuff by. So I'm a big DP fan. Yeah.
That's so wonderful. All right, man. I'm gonna give you one more, because everybody's having such great comments. I want to give this one, Chris Pompey, great listener and viewer of this show. And Chris, is always talking about he's following his dreams. He's 50 now, still getting into broadcasting. But I love this question from him, because I think it's always good to give that advice. Again, reaching back, giving back to the next generation. So just any advice you have for those looking to pursue a career in broadcasting.
I always struggle with this one because, again, this is probably like the 15th time I've said I'm old, but I guess even at 43, I've been in this business for 23 years now.
Yeah.
And when I was, the game has changed so much from when I was trying to establish myself in this space.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was coming in, it was print, newspapers and magazine, It was television, it was radio, and that was it. There was no internet. There was no social media.
Right.
See, he's at 43 is young. I get it, Chris. But it's like, I'm saying, like, I'm old insofar as that so much of what this generation is navigating, I didn't have to navigate, for better or worse. Now,
Right.
some would say, there's more opportunity in media now because there's so many different forms of media than there were back then.
Right.
On the flip side, there's a lot more competition. There's a lot more noise to cut through.
Right.
There's a lot more people that want to do this and are doing it. And I would say, if I could give you any advice, and I kind of gave it already, I would need to know more, Chris, about, what you're doing, how you're doing it, what you aspire to do, this, that, and the other. But if I could be general, I would say, so I'm assuming that I'm just going to make an assumption here.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that you're doing something else. Because if you have not gotten into sports broadcasting
Right.
or into broadcasting, you're doing something to provide, to pay bills.
Right.
That something is more than likely, he covers CFL, NFL, NCAA, and college football in Canada. Okay, this is great. Okay. So maybe you do have a career in it. I don't know if it's your only focus.
Right.
But oftentimes, I'll just forget about Chris for a second, but hopefully
Yeah.
this applies. What I find is that there are people who aspire to do this, but they got to put food on the table. They got a full-time job.
Right.
Like they either got mouths to feed or bills to pay or loans to pay back, whatever the case may be,
Right.
to where they can't pursue this in full.
Right.
I'm not saying quit your job to do it, but another regret I have is when I was at ESPN, I was there for 15 years, and I knew that there was going to be a time when I was going to leave ESPN. I thought it would be under different circumstances. I thought I was going to decide to leave. Well, I did decide to leave, but I kind of had no choice. But that's a whole nother conversation. Point being, I spent every day trying to do the best show that I could. I never did anything. I never invested in creating something for me. Like the idea of it being, I have my own show. No, I didn't have my own show. In much the same way that somebody who's paying rent doesn't have their own house.
That's real.
You know what I'm saying? Like I might have had that time slot temporarily, but it's all temporary when you don't own it. And so I wasn't putting any of my time and my bandwidth and my creativity into creating something for me. And so when it came time for me to leave, it was like, well, shit, what do I do now?
Right.
Type thing. Because I hadn't planned for that. I didn't have anything apart from my 9 to 5, which just so happened to be on ESPN. So to whom it may concern, whether it's Chris or somebody else, whatever you're doing, you got to find a way to take back your bandwidth and devote time every day, even if it's an hour, to creating. And I'll land this plane by saying, just like when I said earlier about embracing and loving, not just trusting the process.
Yeah.
You have to enjoy what you're doing in and of itself, independent of how much money you're making, how many people are reading it, how many people are checking for it, how big of a deal it is. It can't be, I want to be successful in this.
Right.
You have to be successful and feel accomplished strictly based on the fact that, you know what? I covered the CFL today. I covered a game today. That was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
You know what? I did a podcast today. I enjoyed the shit out of that. Again, this is not practical. This is not realistic if you have a job to do. But you got to find a way to take back the only resource that we have, and that's our time.
Yes.
The most valuable resource we have is our time. So my only advice to anybody pursuing a career in anything is you got to find a way to reclaim your time.
Reclaiming my time. That came right in my head. Yes.
You got to find a way to do that. Otherwise, you're going to end up looking up and you've worked somewhere for 20 years. Somebody told me that a salary is what they pay you in exchange for your dreams. So
Yeah.
if you don't find a way to spend some kind of time cultivating that dream, you're gonna miss it. You're gonna miss it.
My mom is agreeing with you right now, Michael Smith. She said that is a word right there. You look, you got my mom's on you. That's good.
Mom's watching. That's beautiful.
Mom's is
right
watching.
there.
You have a Black Southern mom
beautiful.
watching and agreeing with you, Mike. That's a good
beautiful.
thing.
That's beautiful.
Well, Michael, I absolutely love talking with you again. This is why I love this show. I get to meet Michael. First conversation with Michael Smith, and we talked an hour
First
and
of many.
5 minutes. I love
First
it,
of
Michael.
many. Yeah.
So enjoyed you. Okay, John Sullivan, you see me trying to wrap up. I'm gonna give you this last one, Michael. Then we're wrapping up for sure. Do you feel it's harder to do broadcasts or an article or anything sports or anything else in today's world where you have to watch what you say in the event of backlash, or anything that would have been said 20 to 30 wouldn't have been an issue back in the day, but in today's world is an issue? So I guess commenting basically on, some of the stuff that's happening. I guess we do see this happen a lot in sports. You have that stick to sports crowd, right? That doesn't want anything else kind of in their sports, or, so I think this is a good question for you, Mike, because I feel like this is actually something that you've had to endure during your career, right? As you talk about being your authentic self.
Oh, yeah. I feel like, I was getting at a couple of things there. One of them is the idea of, people not liking their food touching, sports and politics, even though that's just so intellectually and historically dishonest and factually incorrect. Sports has always been at the forefront of so-called politics.
Yes.
Sports has driven our society forward. Sports, so, I mean, that's just somebody that's just willfully ignorant when they say stick to sports.
Yes.
I think he's also, and this is the way I'm interpreting the question, is kind of referencing so-called PC culture. A lot of people think that we're more sensitive nowadays. I prefer to think of us as more enlightened and more accountable.
Yeah.
I think, but to answer the question, I never struggled with that because I felt like my only goal in everything I ever said was to be accurate and be fair. I'm not here to be nice.
Yeah.
I'm not here to make friends.
Right.
I'm not here to be necessarily, I'm not here for people to agree with me. I don't care whether somebody agrees with me.
Right.
I'm looking for, I'm just going to be honest, be my honest self. And fortunately, who I am by nature is measured and thoughtful, if I may say so, and fair.
Yeah.
And so I've never run into trouble when it comes to saying something that doesn't go over, that's quote unquote controversial. And when I say run into trouble, I mean, it's not that I have not been at the center of controversy.
Right.
It's that I can live with it. Like I've never said anything that I have to apologize for.
Right. Right. You stand by what you say. You stand by your word. Like you say it.
But I'm also not out here saying no dumb shit either.
Right. You have to be smart.
But I'm saying I'm not saying something that's listen, I'll play nice, and I'm not gonna say the example that just came to mind. But I'm not saying nothing I got to issue an apology for. You understand what I'm saying? I put too much thought and consideration into what I'm saying.
Yeah.
To where I don't have to issue a statement.
Yeah.
Because I'll apologize to anybody who I may have offended.
Right.
I don't have to do that because I got too much sense for that. You know what I mean? I'm not about to say something sexist or racist or homophobic. Right. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. Anything else, I can live with it. So I can live with getting cussed out on social media. I can live with getting called everything but a child of God because I spoke my truth.
Right.
And if my answers frighten you, then you should cease asking scary questions. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm okay with whatever the backlash is because I can look in the mirror and say and be okay with what I said.
Right.
Because my conscience, my the my discernment, my the angel and devil on my shoulder, whatever you want to call it, is at ease with what I've said. So because I'm like, I'm not trying to go too far,
right,
where I have to issue that apology, but B, I ain't sugarcoating shit neither.
Right.
I'm not trying to sit up here and I've never gone on air afraid of what the consequences could be. I have a job covering the NFL.
Right.
I'll be damned if I if I start pulling punches when it comes to the NFL.
Right. Because
I'm not gonna start doing that now. I'm not gonna all of a sudden start like not keeping it a buck when it comes to the NFL or its teams, because I'm getting a check from one of its broadcast partners.
Right.
If that's what they wanted, then you hiring the wrong person. And I told them that, and they understand that. If you wanted somebody that was going to be a cheerleader for the NFL, you hired the wrong person.
Right.
Do I love the game? Do I love pro football? Do I love storytelling around pro football? Yes.
Yeah.
But if it come time to to keep it a buck about what somebody did wrong,
then you're going to do it. Yeah.
I'm gonna do it.
And that's our job, I think, as journalists. I mean, I got to
live with me. I got to look in the mirror. I got to lay my head down at night.
Yeah.
I'm not here to compromise. I'm uncompromising when it comes to my integrity.
Yeah. I think that's huge, and I'm going to keep it real really quick with you, Michael, on the show.
Yeah.
An example that came to my mind when you said that, being in DC, being from this area, I think about Jack Del Rio's comments. I think back to January 6th, actually being in DC at that time, calling that a dust up. I'm just giving this as an example.
Right.
That was a thing that I had to interject in.
Right.
Because again, that's when politics collided. He put it out there. And especially anybody that was anybody that watched it, anybody that's watching the trial, anybody that knows what happened on that day knows dust up was the complete sense of wrong words. And then to compare that to other things, Michael. Yes, I've worked like you you cover the NFL. I've worked for an NFL team, cover them, work Super Bowl and stuff. But my job is still, like you said, I have to be able to sleep at night, right? Yeah. January 6th was something that was traumatizing to so many, but especially many folks here in DC, many folks like me that grew up going to the Capitol, remembering how hard it is even to just get my purse in there, and watching that unfold, watching something that's so sacred and people come and destroy a city, that so many of us love, that was hard. And me as a journalist, I had to interject not just football, Kelsey, that knows the game, but me as someone that has opinions and thoughts and is going to say them on air and stand by them. And I still stand by them to this day. And that's why I'm comfortable talking with you about it right now, right? On the show, on air. And so I think that's just an example of that. But as you said, I have to be able to sleep at night. You have to be able to sleep at night. You have to be able to be real with yourself. And I think that's honestly, that's the process of life when you get to that point when you are just comfortable doing that.
Well, speaking of January 6th,
yeah.
So it's just being on the right side of history. Like, I'm not saying that I'm right about everything, but I know I'm on the side of right. And the people who are offended by the stuff that I say are probably not somebody who I give two shits about their opinion anyway.
That too. Let's be real, right? It's
like if you're like the stuff that what I've said that has offended people, all I got to do is give a quick look at their Twitter account to see who I'm dealing with.
Usually it's those people.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Consider the source. Got it.
Yep.
We're good. We're good.
Yep.
Like, I'm not getting through to you anyway.
Yeah.
So we're talking about like subject matter that transcends the final score.
Yeah.
Like, when it comes to like passions run hot when it comes to when it comes to team allegiances.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, that's just part of that. It just comes with the territory. And here's another thing for anybody that's like just kind of like getting into this game. You also got to understand a lot of people's, and this is not just when it comes to sports and being a public figure. This is life in general. A lot of people's problems with you have absolutely nothing to do with you.
It's true.
It's about something going on in their own life, something that they're dealing with. You don't know. You talk about bringing my whole self to work. I don't know what kind of bullshit baggage somebody is bringing to the conversation.
Yeah.
What kind of date that they're having, what kind of experience that they've had, and I may be the embodiment of something that bothers them.
Yeah.
And I may have said something. You know what I mean? And so, or they may just love their team in an unhealthy way, where if I say the wrong thing about that person's team, then all of a sudden they got an issue with me.
Right.
And last but not least, talking about growing up in New Orleans, and this is where I appreciate John talking about 20, 30 years ago. This is where I come from, being old school. I come from a time where you had to see people. So like social media didn't exist.
Yeah.
So you wasn't posting stuff and you never had to see that person. When you said something, you may have to see that person in the streets.
And stand by. Yep, I stand by what you said.
So I feel like, I'm decent when it comes to my hands, but I'm under no illusions when it comes to the fact that anybody out here could whip my ass at any given moment. So I just kind of operate from a place of, I'm not going to say something that I can't say to this person's face.
Right.
I'm just not wired that way. I'm also just like a generally pleasant individual. I like to think of myself as a nice guy. So I'm not about to make it personal. I'm not about, you referenced earlier, one of your audience members referenced, celebrity boxing matches. Some of my colleagues and counterparts in this business, they tend to make it person, and going back to boxing, they hit below the belt. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's just not me. Because just like your mom's just watching this, when I look at that red light, I'm always thinking, not only might that individual be watching, but that person's got family. That person's got friends. They may be watching. Not that I'm going to pull my punches, standard boxing, but I'm going to talk as though that person is a human being with loved ones who care about them, not just somebody whose existence is meant for my entertainment and my profit. So because I view them as human beings, I'm also trying to treat them the way I want to be treated. Not to mention, if I see them, I'm not trying to get them hands from somebody that I see that don't like what I said because I was out of pocket.
Right.
So that's the thing that I think is really different from 20, 30 years ago. Is 20, 30 years ago, you get the shit slapped out of you for saying the wrong thing.
Right.
Nowadays, you could tweet something and you never have to see that person. You could say something, you never have to go in that locker room. I come from a time where you wrote something on Sunday and you showed up on Monday into the locker room. Even if you weren't working, you showed up and you just stood there. So if anybody has something to say, they can come see you. That's old school. That's how I was brought up in this business. Not the idea of being able to say what I wanted to say with no consequences or repercussions.
It's true, Mike. These keyboard warriors now, they feel a sense of confidence. And you know what you said, though? This is why, again, the reason why I'm always smiling, Mike, the reason why I'm unbothered, as you said, I can stand by what I say, but people who can't come and face me and can just tweet stuff at me, that doesn't bother me. Because, you're not making yourself feel bigger or anything. And usually, like you said, it's the people they don't even have the profile picture or some crazy fake emoji thing. It's people that just want to get under your skin, right? And it's kind of like, what is it? When they go low, we go high. That's what I always have in my head. And a lot of these people aren't even worth your time, energy, or effort. But as you're saying, when you're true to yourself and true to you, you know it. You're authentically you. And if people don't like it, not everybody's gonna like you anyways. It doesn't matter what profession that you're in. You weren't born in this world for everybody to like you anyway. We're all different. We all have different personalities, for that reason. But I think as long as you love yourself, your family loves you, your friends love you, you'll be fine. You'll be good. And Mike, you're preaching so many words. I'm putting it out there. We're waiting for the Michael Smith memoir because we need it after the show. Love what you're doing. Still, you call yourself old. You're still young. You're still going. Thank you for allowing me to steal 2 hours of your day again. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. We're tuning in. Michael Smith is awesome. Check him out. September 15th, folks. Thursday Night Football. Amazon Prime Video. If you don't have Amazon, hurry up and get it because you are not.
Who doesn't have Amazon?
I don't know.
Who's not a Prime subscriber? Come on, people.
I'm going to say, I got packages all the time. Everybody better have Prime. If you don't, I don't know.
The only thing
if you don't have Amazon, put in the comments because I want to know, Mike, who doesn't have Amazon?
The only thing they may need is to just download the Amazon app and make sure that they have because here's the thing. Like I cord cut a long time ago, and you know what? Are you wrapping up right after me?
No, yes, after you, I'm wrapping up. So go ahead.
Wait. We at 1:59. I'm gonna make this better. I cord cut a long time ago, so I'm a streamer. Some people may still.
Sorry, John just said he doesn't have Amazon. We found somebody that doesn't have Amazon.
I might have to hook you up then. So some people may not have cable though either. So it's like it's a streamer. So if you have Roku or Fire Stick or whatever, that's what I've been having for a long time. I have the Prime Video app. So you have to just download the app. But I think it's a habit that people will get.
Okay.
It's 1:59 and 20 seconds.
All
Hey,
right.
look, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna go and let you get yourself together. That's how we say goodbye. That's how Black people say
Right. You know
goodbye.
how we wrap up the phone
Let me
call.
let you go. Let me let
No, let me let you go. You know what we do, Mike.
Yeah,
And then it turns
exactly.
into like a whole nother 5 minutes, but I'm actually going to let Mike
Exactly.
go because he has a
Yeah.
life. But once again, Michael, thank you so much for joining me. You're officially the longest guest I've had on the show, but that's how dope
Really?
your conversation was. So
That's
I
how
love it.
long-winded I am.
No, I love
Let's
it. This is a real
let's
conversation.
talk more. Let's talk more offline and let's build. All right.
I
Let's
look
keep
forward
building.
to it, Michael. Michael, thank you so much
All
again.
right.
Have a great night. And we look forward to seeing you soon on football and watch him again, folks. Peacock TV as well, brother from another. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Kelsey. Appreciate
Have
you.
a great one. All right, y'all. Y'all just listened to Michael Smith. Such a joy having him on. We're back Thursday at 7 p.m. We're going to the entertainment world. I'm so excited to welcome on the special guest. I'll be dropping that news tomorrow, so make sure you're following me on social media to get that. You are not going to want to miss it. So appreciate you all tuning in. Excited for football. Thank you so much for all the kind words. Again, thank you for Michael Smith for his time. When I bring folks on the show, had never met Michael Smith before. We talked on social media, but to be able to meet somebody for the first time and keep them for 2 hours, that's special. And this is why I absolutely love doing the show. Uncensored, unfiltered, just real conversation happening. That's what we need to get back to in the world again, just having conversations with each other. He dropped a lot of true dimes. I really hope it benefited someone out there. But again, excited to see you guys back Thursday, right before football, right before football starts. Be sure to kick off with me. And again, then we'll watch football. We'll be back after that. Super, super excited. But again, y'all, thank you so much for supporting the show. Also, I want to thank all the interns that have been applying to work with me. Over 60 applicants that I need to go through. So that's how I'll be spending my nights. So excited to be bringing on a brand new team. And thank you all so much again to all the interns for believing in what me and my team have been building here. It means so much to me, starting this podcast show, not knowing where it was going to go, but seeing the continued growth of it. So appreciate you guys. Thank you for the kind words. Keep bringing the comments, and I'll see you on Thursday. Have a great one. Bye, guys.
Listen in with KNN on Fox Sports Radio now offers official Kelsey Nicole Nelson apparel in a variety of styles for men and women. Fashionable shirts, leggings, hats, jackets, and more. Order now and get 15% off and free shipping. Just enter promo code KNN. Get your Listen In with KNN wearables today. And check out Listen In with KNN on Fox Sports Radio with Kelsey Nicole Nelson.
You used to hear me on your airwaves or hear me on my hit podcast, but now I'm taking you to the screen. You'll love Elevator Thoughts. We will talk the latest trending in sports. It's game time. What better way to get to know those that visit the show than over some good food and drink? It's time for confessions.
Follow Kelsey on social media at The Real K Nelson. Catch episodes of Listen In with KNN on YouTube, on air at AM 1340 and 96.9 FM Fox Sports Radio, on Facebook and Twitter, and online at KelseyNicoleNelson.com. Thank you for watching this live stream broadcast of Listen In with KNN. Follow Kelsey on social media at The Real K Nelson. Catch episodes of Listen In with KNN on YouTube, on air at AM 1340 and 96.9 FM Fox Sports Radio, on Facebook and Twitter, and online at KelseyNicoleNelson.com. Thank you for watching this live stream broadcast of Listen In with KNN.